Alrighty, here we go. We are scheduling a trip to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to go to the moon on the back of SpaceX, but it's going to be because of Bitcoin. I'm on the train. I'm hooked. I like what I see. I put some money into it. This is not financial advice. This is not financial advice. What I'm saying here is what I've done, not what you should do. This is what I've done, and that's it. That's it. Nothing more than that. Don't listen to what I say. I'm not a financial advisor, nor do I claim to be a financial advisor. I can barely keep a nice haircut. My hair gets incredibly long. I wear this shirt with a hole that's way too big at the top. So the last thing I am is a financial advisor. I like candles because I like ambiance when I do a podcast, which is strange because a podcast is just me, myself, and I. But I like having the ambiance. To somebody who lights candles when they do a solo podcast, the last thing you want to do is to take any of their advice when it comes to finances. But I'm on board, man. Bitcoin is going to continue to grow. And I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't own a Bitcoin. I own like nothing. I own $1,000. I think $1,200 of Bitcoin. You know, when I first bought it, I got in at $52,000. It went up to $58,000. So I did pretty well. I made a little bit of money. And then that thing just took a one-way ticket to Crazy Town, and it just dropped, and it dropped, and it dropped, and it dropped, and it dropped. And when it dropped, that's when I actually did research, and I was like, why am I owning it? Because to be perfectly fair with everybody, a lot of it was FOMO when I did make my first purchase. But after I actually did research, there's a legitimate reason why I believe that Bitcoin it's going to be here to stay for a long time. It's going to be used by the entire world. And also what I believe it's also going to do is bring the world together. So let me just play out the scenario that I have in my head on why I think Bitcoin will be here to stay and why I think it will be busting around 150K this time next year in the year 2022. So let me just preface this by saying, once again, not financial advice. This is what I do. So I'm not an expert. I did not go to school for this. Neither did anybody for Bitcoin. And I also never owned Bitcoin before. I've only owned Bitcoin for about 2 months now. I've never owned it before. And I know people who've owned, I don't know them personally, but I know people have owned Bitcoin for a decade. You know, I think it's been around for like 10 years. And I know it's kind of been a fad, but I also believe it's going to stay. It's going to be here to stay. So let me just start off with the first reason, the biggest reason why I think Bitcoin is here to make a serious play. And also, if you guys think otherwise, I would love to hear the other side of the story. And I understand. I can definitely I can also make a very serious argument why I don't think why Bitcoin should crash. But I can also there's many reasons why I don't think it will crash. So the first major reason, I believe it's an asset. I don't believe I think it will be used as a currency. But I think more than anything, it's going to be an asset, and an asset that is long-term. So you guys got to understand, when I say I'm invested in Bitcoin, I'm not looking to sell at all. I'm looking to continuously, eventually, maybe one day get to one entire Bitcoin, which I don't think I will be able to unless it crashes like down to like $10,000. But I think it's just going to keep on going. And within this past week, you kind of saw what it does. So what it does is it takes off like these crazy high percentages, 10+% in a day, 100+% in like a month, and it just goes crazy. And then it drops really hard. And then when it drops, it loses a lot of people. And then these huge investors come in and they buy it up. And then it shoots back up again. So I don't think I'm ever going to get to one full Bitcoin, but it's never going to stop me from continuously investing in it. That's kind of what I do with anything investing related. I don't look to sell. The only time I will sell is if I can see another one of my stocks potentially getting a higher rate of return. I might sell a portion of one of my stocks or ETFs to put into another one just so I can get a higher return. But then you get taxed on that, so it's probably not the best idea. Anyways, also don't do that. I'm not an expert at all. But so I think it's here for the long term in the sense that it's going to be a long term asset. I think to me it's the equivalent of a gold. It's equivalent to gold. The reason why gold holds value is because gold is a finite resource. It's a resource that does have a limited supply. It's also a resource that the entire world has, for whatever reason, I don't know the reason, but for whatever reason, has determined that this is a universal asset. This is a universal currency. All money in the world it gets its value, a lot of it from the United States dollar, but also from gold, right? And if you have gold, you have money forever, right? Whereas if you have like the US dollar, if you have whatever country money you have money, you have the physical object forever, but what the physical object can buy you in terms of its value is going to fluctuate majorly. And when times like this are happening, which this is just my opinion, I see the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months with this slow, steady rate of inflation, if not a big boom of inflation. The reason why I think inflation is coming, and I think I've spoken about it a few times on this podcast, is for two major reasons. One, too much money in the market. There's too much money out there, right? There's 20% of all the dollars, 20% of every dollar that's created right now in the market was made in 2020. Just simple supply and demand. When you have too much supply, the demand goes down. Right? Or if the demand goes up, then the supply has to go up. But if they're making too many dollar bills, it takes the value of a dollar and it diminishes it. And so I see and that's what inflation is. Inflation is when the dollar loses its strength, right? And it took me forever to figure that out, which is unfortunate because, I feel like you should know what inflation is by the age of 15. So I see that sneaking up upon us. So when you have too much money being made, and I think the House just passed the $1.9 trillion stimulus package, and I think the Senate, they may or may not have passed it already. I'm recording this on Monday, so if you guys are watching this on Tuesday or Wednesday, it could have already been passed. I'm not too sure, but then that's going to just put more money in the economy, and the idea is to stimulate the economy. But in my opinion, right now, there's enough money in people's pockets. And I know that's also kind of hard to hear, and I think it can kind of be rude. It can come off as privileged and rude because a lot of people still, even with the stimulus package, don't have money, and they're struggling, and they need money because their job may not still be available for them, or maybe their job is available for them, but their business took a hard hit. So they had to lay off employees, or they had to reduce hours, or they did something where basically their job isn't as needed. They may get paid less, or they may just have replaced you with somebody else, who can work different hours, who's willing to get paid less. So I think there's a lot of that happening. So this money is needed for a lot of people, but I do have a feeling that when this money is given to people are going to spend it. And I think when they do spend it, that's what you want. But I think it's going to be spent so quickly that there's going to be a flood of money just rushing into the market, and that's going to decrease the value of the dollar. And when that happens, that's when I think Bitcoin is going to shine. It's going to shine the most, because at the same time that people are spending a lot of money in the market when the economy opens and the world opens, and there's traveling and there's cruises and there's planes and all this good stuff, there's going to be a fair amount of people who are taking that money, like myself, and continuously investing it into a lot of different things, and diversifying their portfolio. For example, Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, if you're someone like myself, I see it as, why does this thing not stay down? Just stay down. Stay there. Good job. If you're someone like myself, you see Bitcoin as being a long-term asset. So you're going to put your money into it because the more that inflation rises, people are going to want to keep their money somewhere where it can still accumulate, it can still make money for you and not risk going down. And I see Bitcoin as being the equivalent to gold, except the digital gold. It is digital gold. It's digital gold. And there's so much speculation going on around it right now. If you just Google Bitcoin anywhere, and I'm not trying to sound like somebody who is caught up in the hype. Like, I am caught up in the hype, but at the same time, I do truly believe it's going to make a big difference in the economy. And I think in the same way, there's people who are millionaires because of they got into the oil business. They got into Tesla back when Tesla was nothing. They got into Apple early, back when people were saying smartphones were impossible. They didn't know what they were. There's always these times in history where the not knowing makes millionaires, or the not knowing makes people that could have been millionaires. And I truly believe that Bitcoin is that. I really do. I really think Bitcoin has the potential to just, I don't know, the CEO Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy, who he's kind of been on the front line of Bitcoin. I think their company MicroStrategy has just raised their total amount of Bitcoin to more than $4 billion. So they own more than $4 billion worth of Bitcoin. So obviously he's very bullish on it. He thinks it's going to do super well. He was saying $100 trillion. Kathy Wood was saying that's going to replace the bond market. And I have a feeling that ARK, so Kathy Wood's fund, ARK, is going. I really do believe that they're going to get into it. She just does that stuff, right? She gets into companies or things that are disruptive. I think Bitcoin is disruptive. I think they're going to be very disruptive. I think they're going to be very disruptive in the sense that a lot of these big companies are going to say one thing and do the other thing. I really do believe that. I think a lot of these companies are saying how it's not volatile, or how it's too volatile, how it's this, how it's that. But I guarantee you're going to see a lot of companies coming out who buy a lot of it. I mean, Jack Dorsey, the CEO and founder of Square, they just invested, I think it's $320 million more dollars in a Bitcoin. He's also the CEO and founder of Twitter. And I could totally see Twitter getting into it. More than anything right now, I think what it's showing with Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey, Michael Saylor, they're showing that you can profit off of this stuff too. Like, even if you don't want to use it for any type of currency transactions, you can use it just simply to raise your balance sheet and raise the money that you're making. And I think that cash could be used for the business. But I think everyone's gonna get into it. I mean, the Citibank just said it's a tipping point. They say Citi reports suggest Bitcoin could become the currency of choice for international trade, and that takes me to my second point. Which I'm gonna tell in a second. But let me just finish with my thought here. But yeah, I guess I can just kind of move into my second opinion on it. I mean, it looks like it's I don't know. As of right now, I'm recording this at 10:40 in the morning on Monday, and Bitcoin it's up 5.34% today. It's closing into $50,000. It's going to close into $50,000. And the whole market's up today, which I kind of wasn't expecting. I thought the market would be down. But I think a lot of this rise in the market is due to the confidence that everyone has in the stimulus package. As much as an idiot I sound like for continuously push this, I'm still very bullish on the market, but not until June and July, because I do think that there's going to be a rocky road ahead of us because of the inflation. I'm definitely not a pessimist. Well, I guess I kind of am being a pessimist, but I'm typically not. I'm typically really bullish on America. I just don't see how we can. God, dude, it's just raging. Bitcoin is just flying up. I don't know if you can see that right there, but that's just the peak. I mean, the past week it's still down 9%, but it's just, I don't know. It's just fascinating to see how it moves. I think it's money for, I think the reason why it gets such a bad rap is because it has the potential to make people a lot of money. And I think whenever there is an ability to make quick money, I think the establishment goes against it for a while. And I think the reason why they go against it is because they don't want, they want to continuously be the winners of the money. I think whenever the middleman can make real money, it's kind of people like, F that. We don't want them to do that. But I do think a lot of companies bought a lot of Bitcoin over the weekend. I just really do. And I think it's going to take time for the SEC to show the transactions publicly. But once we see those transactions, you guys are going to be like, holy crap, Michael was right. Like Apple did buy Bitcoin. These people did buy Bitcoin. This company did buy Bitcoin. Amazon bought Bitcoin. They did. And once the floodgates open, Tesla started on February 8th, but once the floodgates open, it's chaos. So that's the first reason. I think the asset thing, I think the long-term investment, looking at it as like a savings account, but a savings account that can make you 10 to 20% a year. But you also got to be able to deal with the volatile hits it takes when it drops 20, 30, 40, 50%. On top of that, you also got to go into it, in my opinion, you got to go into it knowing that you're not going to withdraw your money. You got to keep your money in there because it's a long-term play. I mean, I'm 24. I'm not considering taking it out until I'm 40, 50, because it's going to need time to build. And there's also a limited supply on it. That's another thing I do like. I do like there's only 261 million Bitcoins out there. How many Bitcoins are there? I think there's 200. How many Bitcoins? I have so much. I got to do 2 tests today. Ugh. There are currently 18 million Bitcoins, 18,640,762.5 Bitcoins in existence. This number changes about every 10 minutes when new blocks are mined. Right now, each new block adds 6.25 Bitcoins into circulation. Oh, so every 10 minutes, 6 more are being added. Bitcoin was designed so that there is a finite supply of 21 million Bitcoins. One explanation for the 21 million Bitcoin limit is that the money supply replacement theory. An alternative suggestion is that the limit could be mathematically extrapolated from Bitcoin's operating parameters. So there is a limited supply, which means that once it does hit that limit, which I don't know when that's going to be, once it does hit that limit, I think that's when the price is just going to go crazy. Because there's the supply and demand, right? If the supply is, if there's only a number that it can get to, then the price is going to continue to get high because it's going to be more valuable and more valuable. That's why if you're somebody who owns even 1 Bitcoin, you're doing really well. Obviously, you're doing very well. The second thing I wanted to talk about, why I'm super bullish on Bitcoin, and then we can get into Donald Trump. I think I don't know. I might talk about. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know. I'm reading a new book by Ray Dalio called Principles. Ray Dalio is the hedge fund manager at Bridgewater. He is a ETF investor, which is fascinating. He's pretty conservative when it comes to investments. But the other reason why is because there's been this push for decades, for decades of globalization, of taking the world and kind of in having separate countries, but operating under one branch. You do for me, I do for you, right? Let me try to think of something. The Middle East, we need their oil. We supply them with soldiers to protect the oil. Or I don't know what else. Oh, China, you need what do they need from us? You need our money, I guess. We get clothing. I don't know. So it's like stuff like that. Basically, we all work together. We need someone's corn. They get our labor or whatever it is. Whatever it is. It's stuff like that. Basically, the whole world has its own countries, but we operate as one economy, essentially. My dog is barking and she won't shut up. We operate as one economy. And the advantages of this for a lot of people is they think that that's going to increase people's wealth. It's going to take people out of poverty, and it's going to make the world a more peaceful place. Well, one of the biggest things in my views, just my views, is that it's going to be really hard to reach that pinnacle of globalization without a common currency, without the ability to, because right now the US dollar is the most powerful currency in the market. So if you don't have the US dollar, you're below us, right? Your money doesn't equate to us. So if you have a country like Sierra Leone, or you have Kenya, Uganda, India, even China, maybe their dollar's higher. I don't think so. Sweden, or wherever you are, your dollars, your currency is never going to equal ours. So our trading is always going to be at a deficit, right? Or they're going to be at a deficit to us. So they're always going to spend more than we spend. How do you fix this? In my opinion, you fix this by implementing a currency that the entire world can look on and be like, okay, we accept this. We all accept this as one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. And that's where I see Bitcoin coming in. That's why I really see the potential of Bitcoin making a move to being extremely popular, because it has the ability to bring together continents like Africa. One of the biggest issues with Africa, there's a lot of issues with Africa, but is every country you go to, there's a different currency, right? So each country has their own rules. They can't really trade as well. They can't, and to bring a country together, to bring a continent together, to stabilize it, you need trade, because we all have things that somebody doesn't have. So you need the ability to trade. And one of the hardest things for these countries of Africa to do is to trade. But if you take a currency and all of them kind of accept it as the same thing, then in my opinion, it will develop these countries, which will better the people, which will lift them out of poverty. Which I think, from when you come and look at it from a humanitarian perspective, you can't really argue against that. I just think that is how it's going to work. I think it can save a lot of people. I think it can help a lot of people, and I think that's where the Bitcoin people who don't believe in it as a long-term asset, I don't think they can deny the ability that it can bring the whole world together for trading opportunities. So that's why I also see it really exploding in that department. So anyways, that's why I've only, let me look here. I've only put 12.7% of my portfolio is in Bitcoin. So it's nothing crazy. I only have like $1,200 in it. I'm just kind of testing the waters. I am super bullish on it. I do think it's going to be here for a long time. I'm very realistic, and I do know it's going to take a backseat for a while. It's going to get hit pretty hard. We're all kind of looking at it as like, what does it do during times of recession? Who knows? Because, during the time of economical recession, not a market recession, but an economical recession, unemployment, all that eviction rate, all that stuff, it did really well in. But an economic recession doesn't equate to a market recession. I mean, obviously, this past economic recession was not a recession if you were an investor. If you're an investor, you made a lot of money. You were one of the biggest bullish markets you've been in for a while. So, I don't know. It's fascinating. It's going to be interesting to see, but I do think it's going to go to the moon. I do see it closing at $100,000 by the end of the year, maybe even more. I do see a lot of big companies that you know of, that you use, getting into it for a few reasons, to maybe help their international presence, and also to raise that capital, to raise that cash on the balance sheet, because nothing more is important to a company than raising cash. You need cash to be king. Capital is king. So that was, I just wanted to kind of get into that. I thought that was important. A few things I wanted to get in, which I find there's a few things going on right now, which are kind of, Prince Philip, what are you doing? Trump damaged Russians' opinion of America. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. There's a few things happening right now in the world. Prince Philip, dude, good luck, buddy. God, I love the crown. I'm obsessed with that family, the Windsor family. I'm obsessed with it. For my European listeners, they're probably like, "Yo, shut up, man." They don't do anything. They're just useless and old, and they smell. And to that, I agree with you. I don't think they do too much. But to be fair, I have 350 people who continuously listen to my podcast, from Southeast to Southwest to West Midlands to East Midlands, east of England, Northwest, and Scotland. To you guys, I do apologize, but I do find your people. I do find your royal family interesting. They seem like fascinating individuals. They seem like not the smartest bunch in the world, and especially in The Crown, they made Queen Elizabeth kind of look dumb when she didn't know school. And no shots at you guys. I just think like they kind of did them wrong, and maybe they are dumb, and maybe you guys do think they're dumb. But like, wow, it was a great show. But it's kind of weird that Queen Victoria was straight up, German. I also think it's kind of wild that you guys changed your last name. I should stop saying you guys like the UK is all supportive of the monarchy, or like the monarchy's listening to this podcast. But it is kind of wild that they were OG Germans. They changed the last name because of World War I breaking out. That's fascinating. I find that very fascinating. That's cool. Damn. Former French president convicted of corruption. Damn. Former French president Nicolas Sarkozy. Wow. But what's up with us bombing the hell out of Syria? This is what's crazy to me. This is the stuff that always makes me kind of go like, huh? Like these ideas of I'm just gonna be as candid as possible. So if you guys hate this, please just I don't know, do whatever you want. I don't care. I've been doing this 170 episodes at this point. If you don't listen, if you don't like me, you probably don't listen. And if you do listen, I hope you like me. I hope you don't listen because you hate me. But in that sense, if you do, those people are probably the best. If you do hate me and you continuously listen, thank you. And the reason why I say thank you is because you're probably telling people how much you hate me, which means that you're spreading my podcast more than the rest. So in that sense, thank you. But I don't understand how there's such a double standard. Okay, so let me first put this out there. I did not vote for Joe Biden. Long pause. I also I'm gonna make you guys wait. I'm gonna make you wait. I'm gonna make you wait. I did not vote for Joe Biden. I also did not vote for Donald Trump. But I did vote. I voted for Joe Jurgensen. And I voted for Joe Jurgensen not because I'm a independent, even though I do think I am, but because I did not trust Joe Biden at all, not even 1%. He was not a Democrat. He's a Republican. In my opinion, he's very conservative. He is not what the Democrats want. It's just what the Democrats had to settle with. I did not want Donald Trump because of the way that he spoke about humans, different humans that weren't white. I did not like that. I did not like what he brought to the table. Economically, brilliant. I mean, really, like economically, at least for the market wise, kicked ass. People who don't like Donald Trump, they have to admit their income has never been higher. So that's just a fact, right? That's just a fact. But if you're somebody who is, I don't want to say humane because that would be rude. But if you're somebody who is sensitive to other culture, I guess sensitive to people, maybe just sensitive in general, because I'm sensitive. You didn't like him, right? I couldn't look past the things he said, the things he did, the way he would make fun of and berate certain individuals, the way he would belittle groups of people, countries, Mexico. Like, he would say outlandish things. If he kept his mouth shut, I really do think he would have been a great president. If coronavirus never came upon us, I also think he would have been the president, and I think he would have destroyed Joe Biden in the election. I also think if he kept his mouth shut during the coronavirus, he would have destroyed Joe Biden and been the president. But let's get off of that. I want to talk about the bombing situation in Syria. I don't know why we bombed Syria. A lot of it, Israel blames Iran for attack on freighter. Okay, why? So let me just look this up. Why did we bomb Syria? Why did America bomb Syria? Just questions. Biden orders airstrike in Syria. Retaliating against Iran-backed militias. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said Friday that the bombing caused, quote, casualties, but said it was too early to see how many fighters were killed or wounded. Washington. President Joe Biden on Thursday ordered airstrikes on buildings in Syria that the Pentagon said were used by Iranian-backed militias in retaliation for rocket attacks on U.S. targets in neighboring Iraq. So this is my thing. This is the issue I have with this. So yes, retaliate, absolutely. I do think you bomb us, we should bomb you. Right? A lot of people will be like, "Well, I don't know. Is the answer to violence more violence?" I don't know. I'm not picking a side on that. But I guess I did pick a side, but I'm not going to speak upon that. But what I'm saying is, just imagine if we were sitting here and it was March 1st, Monday, and Donald Trump ordered those attacks. Just imagine. People would be up in arms. People would be protesting the streets right now. People wouldn't care that it was in retaliation for Americans getting bombed because they would say America's worthless anyways. Like, screw the military. People would be saying that. These military people support Donald Trump. They deserve that. I could be completely crazy, and I might be completely crazy, and I might be underestimating people, but I don't think I am. I think there would be huge protests right now, protesting against Donald Trump, saying you're looking for war, you're off your rocker, why are you bombing Syria? There's better ways to go about this. Why did you bomb Syria? Didn't have anything to do with it. You should have just bombed Iraq, or you should have just bombed Iran. But they're not saying a damn thing, and the reason why they're not saying a thing is because because parties don't matter. These presidents do not matter. These people play these positions, they play these teams, and the everyday person like you and I fall for it. Every 4 years, we fall for it. He should be getting berated the same way Donald Trump is getting berated, but he won't because he's on the team that won. And it's so sick for me to see. It's so sad for me to see because people who hated Donald Trump, they can't admit that some things he did were good. They just can't admit that. They can't admit that while they got themselves a new Porsche in 2018 because the money they made went up in 2016 and 17. And God forbid you give credit to anybody. God forbid you give credit to anybody. Declared a bomb to blow up Syria. I heard accounts of like 17 people got murdered. Look, I'm not against war. War is something that I truly believe is never going to stop. As much as I think peace would be cool, it would never stop. And there's many reasons why it won't stop. And one of the reasons why it won't ever stop is the reason that people don't like to believe in it. They don't want to ever admit to it. They don't want to believe that this is the truth. But here's the truth. War stimulates economy. War makes money. Your relative's life that you may have lost in the war, his life stimulated the economy. Her life stimulated the economy. And it sounds brutal. I should get backlash for that, but that's the truth, man. The truth is the military-industrial complex, there's companies like Raytheon, there's companies like Lockheed Martin, there's companies like Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Airbus, Honeywell, we can just go on and on. There's companies that make billions of dollars a year because we're at war. I'm not anti-war. I think war is a good thing when war should be used. But when war breaks out, when attacks are spawned by somebody, just because that person everyone loves or the majority of people love, he should also get the same retaliation that Donald Trump should get. And that I may just be butthurt by that, and I may sound like a Trump sympathizer, but I don't care. I don't claim Republican or Democrat, but what I do claim is things need to be fair, and we need if we're gonna attack people, we gotta attack everybody. Like, we gotta attack fairly, or we can just not attack. That's always an option too. But you have to. You can't play these games. You can't pick these sides. And this is why people look at politics as such a joke. This is why people like me take a step back and I laugh. I can barely take people serious when they talk about politics because in my eyes, it's all a game. It's a game. It's a what's it called? A mirage. It's a mirage. They play you. Joe Biden is not looking for peace. Are you kidding me? This man was a senator for 900,000 years. 900,000 years. This dude is a proponent on the war on drugs. This dude has said multiple times. He literally said in an interview with Charlemagne the God, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. What are you saying? Are black people who are conservative don't have a voice? Because there's a lot of people like that, right? This is my issue with everything. I'm not saying I support Donald Trump. I'm not saying I support Joe Biden. What I support is fairness. What I support is America. I love America. I love what we stand for. I do believe we're the best country in the world, and I do believe that people who say that I think people who say that America is not the best country in the world, you are extremely privileged. The irony there is hilarious. The fact that you think that this country isn't the best country in the world. Meanwhile, there's people dying, literally dying, risking their entire lives to cross that border a few thousand miles south to get into this country. And you're going to sit here while you have this full-time job, while you have this college education, and you're protesting with your stupid little pics about something somebody said somewhere, saying this country is not the best country in the world. How dare you? How dare you say when there's refugees from Syria and there's refugees from these countries that are just war-torn apart? There hasn't been a year where there hasn't been a gunshot heard. How dare you say it's not the best country in the world? Like, people don't realize the privilege they have. People don't realize that. I'm going to get off my high horse, but I just want people to realize that when you say these things, when you do these things, you have to realize that there's two sides of the story. If one person does something and the other person doesn't do something, or somebody from a party does one thing and then it happens on the other side, you have to attack each side appropriate. I do believe that people have the right to protest. I do, because that's a very American thing. And I do believe that if you F up, you should be attacked. You should be attacked. And bombing a country, I have nothing against. I have nothing against. If they actually bombed us, and they did, if they did what they did, I do think retaliation is proper. Just send a message, I guess. I don't know. I don't really want to talk about that, but what kind of got under my skin, and maybe got under my skin too much, and maybe like I'm dumb, and maybe like I don't know. I could just be absolutely dumb and like TikToked over here, but I just want it to be fair on both sides. I don't know. I just want it to be fair on both sides, and also like, what are we doing? Why? This one's gonna frustrate a lot of people. Let me just check my Bitcoin real quick, just so I can be happy. Okay, cool. Awesome. We're happy. We're making money. We're making money today. So if I get canceled, I still got money. I'm just kidding. I won't get canceled. Boom. We're making some good money today, son. Starbucks, non-dairy beverages, including Oatly oat milk. Coffee drinks go nationwide. Dude, Oatly's a public company. Those guys kick ass. Oh, no, they're not. Oh, they're going to go public. What is their... I think their like IPO is going to be an crazy amount. What is it? Oatly IPO. $10 billion stock market float. Oh, that's some big money. Oatly. I don't know what I was talking about. But Donald Trump talked at the CPAC, and it got more attention than anybody else in the entire world. Why? Because people are obsessed with him. How can you guys not see this? You guys need Donald Trump. Everybody needs a little Donald Trump in his life. The people who hate him, you want him. Why are you talking about him? If he wants to run for 2024, you're not going to vote for him. Don't bring his name up. He's going to trend. And when he trends, people who didn't want to vote for him are going to end up voting for him if they see his name enough. Like, what are you doing? Keep your mouth shut. Am I crazy for saying that? I don't think so. The dude's popular. People hate People hate Donald Trump more than they love Joe Biden. That's why Joe Biden won. That's the truth. Hate me, cancel me, I don't care what you do. But I'm not big enough to get canceled. Shut up, Mike, you little egotistical son of a gun. But that's the truth, man. People love to hate Donald Trump. Keep his name out your mouth. And then he won't be popular. Not that hard. You're not going to end him. He's got real backers. He's got support that you couldn't even imagine. I know people in my family who obsessed with him would get on knees right now and deliver anything to him. Keep his name out of your mouth, and there's a chance that he may not win. Kamala Harris was saying she was upset because she didn't get to be part of that decision to call the bombs on Syria. Yo, Kamala, cool. Vice presidents never get any say in anything. You're a vice president. Just saying. But I don't know. I'd have lost a lot of listeners in this episode, but that's just the truth. I don't know. I don't like when things are double. I don't like double standards. I hate double standards. They make me mad. They do. They make me upset. I got this awesome book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, the acclaimed guide to stress-related diseases and coping. I'm very excited to read that book. I got a lot of good books to read. I wish if I was out of school, all I'd do is read. Just read. Read and podcast. This is my life. Read, podcast, work, invest. Read, podcast, work, invest. Read, podcast, work, invest. Read, podcast, work, invest. It's a good life. It's a good life. Make a good life for yourself. Guys, I love you. I do. I love every one of you. I don't care. You guys are the best. I couldn't do this without anybody, obviously. Even though sometimes I do feel like I'm just talking to myself, but then I look at the numbers, I'm like, oh, 10,000 plus downloads. Y'all are the best. I'm just a talking head. I'm nothing more than that. I'm nothing more than that. Hell yeah, Palantir bounces up. Palantir. Dude, everything's just bouncing off, son. Big money. Anyways, I'll let you guys go. I'm talking too much. 42-minute podcast. Love you guys. I'll catch you guys at episode 172 of the Michael Live Show. Peace out. See you. Have a beautiful day.